So hello everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for our lunchtime session. I'm so excited. There are so many of us gathering here together, which is beautiful, and from all over Australia and our friends in New Zealand. Hello. And Kathleen, I'm just so excited. You can see my face. I'm just like wanting to do the happy dance. I just love Secret Agent Society, and I just love that we're gathering here to talk about it today. I'm just so pumped. So thank you so much for joining us. Before we start, I wanted to acknowledge the land that I'm joining from today, which is Wathaurong country, part of the Kulin Nation in Victoria. And I wanted to acknowledge the land all across Australia from which we gather, Aboriginal land, and acknowledge traditional owners and custodians of our amazing country, and give my deepest gratitude for being able to be on land. So, Kathleen, welcome. For those of you who don't know much about Secret Agent Society, you've come to the right place, thankfully, today. And so I'm not going to introduce it too much because that's the purpose of the session. But what I will do is introduce Kathleen to you all. Kathleen Davey is the Chief Operating Officer at the Social Skills Training Institute. So the Social Skills Training Institute is a wholly owned subsidiary to the not-for-profit Cooperative Research Centre for Living with Autism, a world-first research collaboration using research and universal design to build capacity across Australia. So I believe Kathleen has spent 14 years building a strong understanding of autism spectrum, whilst also gathering skills in clinical psychology and organisational psychology. Kathleen, I stalked your LinkedIn, which is always an inspiration. And I love sort of the summary that underneath your name is that you are translating autism for our legal systems and workplaces and driving the global distribution of Secret Agent Society to empower social and emotional skills development for as many children as possible. And I just love that reach and that passion to really spread the word on what you're doing. And so I'm just going to get straight to it and hand over to you so we can continue that reach of this amazing program. So welcome.
Thank you, Anna, and welcome to everyone that's online today as well. We've got quite a few people watching, and it seems on Facebook as well, which is exciting. Just one more tech thing. There we go. Okay, so Anna's already introduced me. I'm from the Social Skills Training Institute, Chief Operating Officer, and also a clinical psychologist who have been working across the lifespan with a variety of people, including a lot of individuals on the autism spectrum, which is where Secret Agent Society was first aimed at. So it was originally a PhD project for a lady called Renee Beaumont, in Brisbane, Australia. So it's an Australian born and bred program originally designed for 8 to 12-year-old children with that old Asperger diagnosis. But now the evidence base and the use of the program is way beyond that, which I'll explain a little bit more. On this slide, it kind of explains what Anna was just saying. We here, Social Skills Training Institute, we distribute the Secret Agent Society program and the training that goes with that, but we are wholly owned by that not-for-profit AutismCRC research organisation. And when we're not working from home in isolation, we are all co-located at the University of Queensland campus in Brisbane. So that's just a little bit of context to where we fit. Now, SAS has been empowering children's resilience since 2009. Renee's PhD started in about 2003, but has been out there to help empower children all over the world since 2009. And there are three different ways that people can access SAS, depending on the kids, the type of children, the type of service you are, the type of family you are. Now, they're summarised by this triangle image on my slide here. There's the standalone resources that you can use flexibly to help work on certain skills or motivate certain experiences flexibly. Now, I'm going to actually show you how to do some of that and give you a demonstration of some of those standalone resources as we go through our lunchtime session today. There's also the small group program. Now, this is what most people know about or have seen published research on. It's the original program, the bee's knees, if you will, and it holds the highest clinical change published for a program of its kind. So that's a small group program, which I'll come back to. We also have options for whole of class, meaning mainstream classrooms, various levels of ways that teachers can integrate SAS into mainstream classrooms, which actually really helps with the inclusion process. So imagine your kids with identified social and emotional needs who are doing something like the small group program to intensely learn a whole range of social and emotional skills, and then they go back into a classroom with other kids who are speaking the same language and have some of that as well. So that's the suite of offerings, if you will. And all of those things include something called SAS Digital Headquarters, which is where I'm sitting at the moment here. My virtual background is inside the digital headquarters, and I'll show you around in just a moment. Now, I've mentioned that it was originally a PhD project for kids 8 to 12 with Asperger's, but now it's way beyond that. We've had a number of published studies on SAS with kids predominantly on the autism spectrum using the small group program. Also with kids that do not have an autism diagnosis, for example, kids with ADHD, anxiety disorders, or a whole range of other social emotional challenges where the skills that we teach in SAS happen to fit with what they need. It's also used clinically with some younger and some older children as well, not just the 8 to 12. It is evidence-based for 8 to 12, that's for sure. But clinically, sometimes you weave certain parts of it into work with younger children or with older children if they're not put off by the theme. If they think it's still cool and the skills align with their needs, then you can be flexible with those age ranges. And I know some people were asking about that on Facebook prior to the event, so I thought I'd clarify that one pretty early on. SAS can also be delivered individually, in small groups, and in classrooms. There's been other research looking specifically at the computer game pack, which I'm going to focus on for you today, because that is the easiest thing for you to access and start using straight away. So there's published papers on that, and we've also had a 2-year evaluation of mainstream classroom use of SAS through the AutismCRC. If you are someone who likes to see all the journal articles and the statistics and things, we have the references on our website along with a description of the research. If you go, I think I popped it on the bottom there, sst-institute.net, there's a page called The Evidence. So those of you who are after more research detail, that's probably the best place to look. But I won't spend your whole lunch talking about research. We'll get into some practical side of things. Now, so far, hopefully, maybe you're starting to see that the whole thing is themed with an espionage vibe. We are training to be secret agents while we're learning our social and emotional skills. Okay, so it's lots of fun, lots of espionage theming. Now, SAS is designed nicely to be delivered as face-to-face program in a room with a group of kids or one-on-one with a child or a classroom, but also through telehealth. So people use SAS through online clinical services with the mass shift to telehealth services around the world that's just happened recently with the pandemic. A lot of our SAS providers have simply shifted from face-to-face delivery to telehealth delivery. And the program has been quite suited to that. We've even just rapidly developed some screen share mini games to replace some of the fun physical activities that we do in the room with children to make it even easier for our SAS providers to do that. If I get a chance, I'll show you one or two later of those mini games that they can share their screen, just like I'm doing with you today, they can do with groups of kids while doing the program. Okay, because now more than ever, technology is a great way to get that engagement happening, particularly in the pandemic context. So I've just prepared a little bit of information that's relevant to the real current world situation. No matter what state you are in Australia, what country you are in, what stage of the pandemic and release of restrictions you are, SAS is able to be used in both contexts, face-to-face and telehealth. We've even released some new skill code content to help kids learn the social skills they need in the current environment. Because we've all had this reduction in face-to-face contact. We can't just go and play with our mates. We might be having Zoom family parties. Zoom play dates I hear a lot about these days. So we've introduced some codes on video chats and text chat social skills to help in this current situation as well. Not only that, but there is a rise in child anxiety and adult anxiety, I would argue as well. But a lot of kiddies are struggling a lot more with anxiety than they usually do. So SAS is a great way to do that through your telehealth means, or at home with your own child, using the computer game pack and helping them to understand and regulate their anxiety in this, this changing and sometimes scary world that's coming. All right. Now, all of these options, as I mentioned, they all include digital headquarters. Okay, this is the gamified learning component of SAS that's digitized. Some of it designed for the kids to play themselves, playing games and learning through the experiences of the games. Some of it that they do as part of their work with adults as well. So we are going to focus in on that. With those standalone resources, I'll just jump back a slide, this top bit here, standalone resources, where you can purchase them anytime, use them flexibly, target certain skills here and there, or use it as like a mini light touch intervention. One of the main standalone resources is something called a computer game pack, or SAS computer game pack. And currently on our website, there's two versions. There's one that has a physical intelligence pack that comes with it. You can see it on the bottom of my slide here. There's lots of little cards and stickers and things. Or there's a version that is completely digitized. All the cards and stickers are now functional activities represented by the pictures there under the fast access online one. That computer game pack, you don't even have to wait for all the delayed shipping that's going on at the moment. You just order it online and an email is provided with the product key and you can access it all straight away. Okay, so we'll talk a lot about the computer game pack today, and I'll show you how you can use different elements of it to empower kids in different ways. Now that small group program, the next one down on the triangle there, the one that I said is the original bee's knees, this one covers a whole range of skills. Emotion recognition, so how to tell how other people are feeling. Your own emotions, what are my own body clues? Have I got a little bit of emotion or a lot of emotion? A range of social skills like having conversations, playing, dealing with mistakes and losing and bullying and all those things, and social problem solving skills. So there's a whole range of skills in this small group program, structured, evidence-based, and as I mentioned, holding the highest clinical change published for a program of the kind. There's lots of fun activities that the kids play and can be delivered face-to-face or through telehealth. So for example, the helpful thought missile action game where they have a Nerf gun and they get the concept of shooting down enemy thoughts and replacing them with more helpful thought missiles. We have created a digital mini game so that you can still do a fun thought identification activity when you don't have your foam darts in the physical room with you. So the small group program involves child groups and parent groups and a series of teacher tip sheets that go to the classroom teacher. So everyone knows module by module what we're working on. The kids go on missions between sessions and they report back in their mission journal. And there's something called a skill tracker that helps them motivate them to practice their skills in the different environments in their life. So pre-COVID-19, it would be at school and at home, for example. And for some people out there, that is possible right now, at home and at school. It's just designed to be two environments, helping the child to practice as much as possible across environments. That's the small group program in a nutshell. It has a 2-day facilitator training course attached to it. We've actually got 2 of those happening this week for people wanting to deliver the small group program. Now, I'm hoping this will work. I have a very quick 2-minute computer game trailer to show you, so you get a good little overview of what the actual digital HQ looks like. So let's try this and see if it works.
The year is 2030, and soon after birth, all children undergo a genetic screening procedure known as career determination testing. Your CDT results have shown that you are best suited to a career as a special agent. Please enter the International Secret Agent Society headquarters, where you will begin your training.
successfully graduate from this academy, you will need to complete a 3-level program that teaches you how to decode people's thoughts and feelings. Good luck.
Okay, and it's not coming soon, it is here, but we haven't updated that part of the trailer yet. All right. Now, inside Digital HQ, we have 4 levels and we have some extra components as well. The 4 levels progress the skills depending on where the child's at. So level 1 is focusing on clues that signal other people's emotions from their face, voice and body clues. Level 2 is around your own body signals, the physiological changes we have when we feel different emotions and their purpose, and then how to look at the degrees of that emotion. Is it just a little bit or is it a lot? Level 3 has choose your own adventure missions, where the kids actually make choices that change the direction of the scenario. They get to explore what happens and how things impact socially or on their performance if they do things like choose to regulate their emotion, choose to use a relaxation gadget, or if they choose to use a particular social skill. Or what happens if they don't? What happens if they just take over and don't let anyone else have a go? What's the consequence that happens down the line? So they get to explore this and get social skills and emotion skills modeled for them while playing this cool secret agent game, not just what someone's telling them they have to do. They get to explore the consequences without doing it themselves. Then we expand on that together with the kids in session. Level 4 also includes a self-reflection quiz and a graduation ceremony for the cadets in the program online. Now, these other components that are in Digital HQ, there is also an e-intelligence pack, which contains something called emotionometers, relaxation gadgets, social skills codes, and it's all contained in a code card holder. And I will show you that in a moment so that all those words make more sense. Then we have the mission journal. So if a child was going on a mission between a session with you, they've got to go and practice something in real life and report back on how it went. They can do that through Digital HQ in the Digital Mission Journal. And then there's also something called a scene generator. This is where you can create pictures, thought bubbles, speech bubbles, and do all sorts of things to debrief scenarios, communicate your experiences, perhaps make an electronic comic strip conversation. There's lots of tools inside Digital HQ, and it's a core resource that supports all of those 3 programming areas for SAS. Now, those of you who are interested in using the computer game pack flexibly with kids to target specific skills, we have a free booklet on our website that you can download. It's called the Computer Game Pack Guide. And it actually talks through all those little things that I said, the emotionometer, the relaxation gadgets, the social skills code cards, the little visual supports. And it also has a section that outlines skill by skill. If you're wanting to target this particular skill, let's say it's taking turns while talking with others. So letting 2 people have a turn when you're talking, that skill, and then it outlines which parts of the game cover that. What are some other activities you can do to extend on that? And how do we get kids to practice in real life? Okay. All right, so to show you around in Digital HQ and to talk about that process, I'm going to use the example of little Lisa, who's feeling anxious about COVID-19. Okay, she's been seeing all this scary stuff on the news. Parents are doing different things. Everyone's at home a lot. You know, I've heard there's this scary virus and people are dying, and she's feeling really extra anxious. And you'll see here I've got a 4-step process. It firstly starts off with identifying what target skill do we want to help Lisa with. Then it talks about which Digital HQ activities link to that skill. What additional session activities can we do? And then how do we help Lisa to practice it in real life when she's not working directly with you? So you can see here from this 4-step plan that we're going to use our computer game pack to help Lisa with. It's not just about a computer game. It is not just about putting a child in front of a screen and all of a sudden they magically have skills that they can use in real life. There are other components to this. Okay, so let's look at Lisa. So first one, target skill. We're going to say we want to focus on identifying the strength of her emotions. So she can recognize I'm feeling anxious and I'm feeling a medium amount of anxious or anxiety. So in Digital HQ, I think level 2, something called detective laboratory and degrees of delight and distress, are going to fit well with what Lisa's after. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to share my screen playing in Digital HQ. Okay, so that should have shifted from my slide to me being inside my browser, inside Digital HQ. Funny, it looks like the background of my video. That's a bit weird. But anyway, that's where I am now. Now I've suggested level 2. So let's go into level 2.
Welcome to level 2 of the Academy. Please start with the level 2 quiz.
Okay, now for this point, I've logged in as if we're going in for the first time, and that's why he's explained that. But I'm actually going to jump ahead and I'm going to show you Detective Laboratory.
To enable us to monitor your reactions to training missions, please calibrate the emotion scales. As a federal officer, it is just as important for you to be aware of your own feelings as it is for you to decode the emotions of others.
Okay, thanks, Agent Arden. Agent Arden talks us through the game. All right, now we have 4 monitors here: happiness, sadness, anger, and anxiety. And I've just realized I haven't got it in unlocked mode.
Welcome to level 2.
Jump around for you. So I'm just going to quickly log back in and jump to the anxiety scale, because that's the one that is of most interest to us, because Lisa's feeling anxious. Okay. Okay, back into level 2. Detective Laboratory.
To enable us to...
Okay, back where we were. But now I can access all 4 of those monitors. I'm going to jump to the anxiety monitor because that's what's most relevant to Lisa for me to show you today for this demonstration.
Set the monitor to show your energy level when you feel anxious or scared.
Okay, so when we're really anxious or scared, we have the option of selecting high energy, low energy. When we're really anxious, it's high.
You're correct. When humans feel scared, their bodies release adrenaline. This chemical prepares the body to either fight an enemy or escape from danger. Adjust the scale to show how tense your muscles are when you feel scared or afraid.
Okay, we relaxed and floppy, or real tight and tense?
Intelligent observation. Your muscles generally tense up when you feel scared or afraid. You might get a headache or feel faint. Notice a funny feeling in your stomach, feel like you have a lump in your throat, or need to go to the toilet. You might even shake or shudder, and your legs might feel wobbly like jelly. Adjust the monitor to show how fast your heart beats when you feel afraid or scared.
Okay, I'll do this one as the last example. So our heart can beat fast or slow. Let's go fast.
You are super smart. When a person feels anxious, their heart rate increases to pump more blood and oxygen around their body. Adjust the monitor to show how fast you breathe when you feel anxious or scared.
You could see the elements of anxiety that we could cover with Lisa. Now, just briefly, if I jump back to my slide here, you can see that, okay, Detective Laboratory, that's what I just showed you. One of the Digital HQ activities that would link to this skill that we're trying to work on with Lisa. So we could integrate that into our usual sessions, the therapy that we're doing, use it as an example to teach some of that physiological response, or we could actually be going through level 2 and doing a mini SAS-driven intervention. You can use it flexibly when you're using standalone resources. I've also mentioned on the slide degrees of delight and distress. That's another activity we could do where we can actually create posters, like on the side here. See the purple picture? There's small, medium, and large of an emotion, and there's all body clues lined up on the person. The kids get to explore their body clues at different levels of emotion, and they can print out posters if they like. So I've suggested at the bottom here, part of skill application and maintenance, is that all the family members at Lisa's household could make a poster of their own body clues at different levels of anxiety, print them all out, put them on the fridge, and everybody can talk about their anxiety body clues all week to help Lisa get used to that concept. Okay, so that's something else you could do. Step 3, additional session activities when we're with Lisa. I've written here, create an emotionometer. So let us jump back into Digital HQ and I will show you how to make an emotionometer where they are. Okay, so in headquarters here, we've got an intelligence button. Go into our intelligence pack. Oh, and now I'm in the wrong one again. I pre-prepared one for you, and then I went and logged in a different way. Okay, there we go. So in my intelligence pack, I have an anger monitor and I have an anxiety monitor, emotionometer that I've made previously. If I can access this on mum's phone at any time. I can look at it on my iPad. I can do it on laptop. I can click on it in the shopping centre with mum and look and see what's happening with my anxiety because I've made this previously. I've selected what are the body clues that I experience at different levels of emotion. And when I'm feeling, let's say a 7 on my emotionometer, what can I do? I can use one of my fidget toys to help me calm down, one of my relaxation gadgets. If I'm a 10 on my emotionometer, I can use the fire engine to help cool me down. So the program actually prompts them through making their own tailored emotionometer, and then they can at any time do a quick view or edit them and get rid of stickers and add stickers to their emotionometers. There's also this section called My Relaxation Gadgets. I can go in there to add a gadget, and here you'll find there are a whole bunch of relaxation gadgets, including the O2 regulator. Let's look at that one. So I've clicked on O2 regulator. This tells us that breathing in slowly through your nose and out through your mouth helps to reverse the chemical reactions in your body that cause physical signs of anxiety and anger. Okay, and it tells me that it's good for low to medium levels of my anxiety, and I can use this one anywhere. In fact, the O2 regulator is actually a top secret relaxation gadget. No one knows when you're using that. So I've added it to my code card holder. I can also go in and create my own relaxation gadget where I give it its own name. I can add a symbol, put what level of strength, and I can add that to my code card holder as well. Let's add a couple more. There we go. So you can fill up your code card holder with different gadgets that you can have a quick look at in moments of distress. Okay, so that's the e-intelligence pack and making an emotionometer or relaxation gadget cards for little Lisa. So we've had the target skill. We've looked at which elements in Digital HQ might help us to teach that. Then we've gone, okay, how do we expand? Let's create an emotionometer together. So she's got a quick reference tool in real life when she's feeling anxious. And then skill application and maintenance for step 4. I talked about how all the family members could make posters and stick them on the fridge of their body clues. I've also mentioned here, we might send her on an SAS secret agent mission called employment of the emotionometer. Now, this is all preloaded into Digital HQ. When you go into the mission journal section, it will give instructions. And basically this week, she's got to be on the lookout for any rising emotion and noticing it on her emotionometer. And then she answers self-reflection questions about that. Okay, let's look at what else we might need to do with Lisa. Let's say we have another target skill where we're wanting to help her to use relaxation gadgets when she notices that she's got high levels of emotion. Okay, if that's the target skill, I think we go to level 3 of SAS Digital HQ, and I think we'd ask her to play Detective Flight Challenge. Now, this one I'm not going to show you. I'm going to show you another one in a moment. A Detective Flight Challenge, there's a flight competition, and Junior Detective, he's feeling really anxious about it, and you can make a choice. He can choose to use his relaxation gadgets or just take off and start the race while he's really freaking out. And different things happen. If you choose to use your gadgets, you see him do his slow breathing, his helpful thoughts come up, and then he goes into this competition, and they are literally flying a plane and shooting down drones and things and getting upgrades and health boxes and all these things. They fly in a flight challenge and it flies really well. It's smooth, it's easy, and it's actually rigged so that they'll come first or second on the leaderboard if they choose to use their gadgets. And then their friend comes over afterwards and compliments them. Then they have another choice. Because remember, it's choose your own adventure. They can choose, do I thank them and return the compliment? Or do I keep going on about how well I flew? If they choose to do that, at the end of the story, they end up lonely. If they choose the other one, they get invited over to play, okay? And they have to do these missions more than once, making different choices. So they get to explore all the different consequences. So that's an example of level 3, choose your own adventure. And I'll show you a different one in a moment. We might get Lisa to practice her O2 regulator, teach her how to do slow breathing. We might involve role plays with other family members to practice prompting her to use her O2 regulator when she's feeling anxious. And then I think I'm going to set her on some missions again, this time Operation O2 Regulator, that's all preloaded into Digital HQ. Operation O2 Regulator is where Lisa will practice her slow breathing technique 5 nights a week, and she's going to rate how relaxed she feels before her breathing and after her breathing. It's not regulating an emotion as such, it's practicing her breathing technique. Okay, so that's what a series of things we could do to help her with that other target skill there of using her gadgets. Now, let's say also that while she's feeling really anxious about COVID, there's other things that go on. There's meltdowns that happen. There's incidents that happen. Other random things that you need to deal with when you're working with Lisa. There are 2 other tools in SAS Digital HQ that can help. One is the decoder problem-solving formula. I've put an image, it might be too small on your screens, but I've put an image here of the whole, what's called a neural network of the decoder problem-solving formula, where the kids detect what their problem is. They come up with some possible solutions. They assess the positives and negatives. They choose the best solution, and then they organize a plan of what they're going to say, what they're going to do, how they'll say it, how they do it, and they get a backup plan in case things don't go the way they'd hoped. Then they evaluate after they practice their chosen solution, they role play it before they do it for real. Then they evaluate how it went, what they did well, what they could do differently next time, and reward themselves. So there's this whole process for solving problems, and it's visualized in their mission journal with this neural network. Okay, so that's one of the tools we could use with Lisa. Also, the scene generator that I mentioned earlier, where you can create pictures, you can put thought bubbles and speech bubbles and different people with different emotions. It's a really great tool for making scene by scene debriefs of what happened and then what happened. And if this happened again next time, what could I do differently? I could do this and I could do this and I could do this. Or I find it's also useful as a conversation tool. Rather than talking, you can create pictures together. Rather than telling me what you were thinking, they can type in what they were thinking in the thought bubble. So there's those tools as well. All right, let's move on from Lisa. So Lisa was anxious about COVID-19, and I showed you some examples of the many different ways you could use SAS resources to help her to identify her emotions and then how to regulate her emotions. I've just shown you some examples. Let's now move on to Charlie. Now, Charlie's different. Charlie's not anxious. Charlie really wants to talk to people, and he talks a lot. He talks a great deal. He has talk overload. He talks almost probably too much on his particular topics. No one else gets to talk. And now he's in isolation and he can't talk to people like he used to. Okay. So we've got a family here who want to take the opportunity while everyone's home so much together. They actually want to use that to boost his therapy and practice lots of things with him and build skills. And they want to encourage him to socialise and talk to peers over video conferencing, peers and family. So just as one example with Charlie, one target skill we might identify might be turn taking. So rather than him just talking at people about his new special interest in viruses, we're going to help him to talk back and forth, ask people questions, have a two-way conversation, and we're going to help improve his play skills. So Digital HQ, I think level 3, one of those choose your own adventure missions will work well. And I'm going to show you Murder at Earnshaw Manor, because Murder at Earnshaw Manor demonstrates something called the play code, damage control code, and the confusion code, which I think is helpful for Charlie given his profile. So let's look at this one together. Level 3.
Welcome to Level 3. Please start with the Level 3 quiz.
Crime at the Cathedral, Detective Flight Challenge, Murder at Earnshaw Manor, Secret of the Schoolyard Ghost. They're all choose your own adventure missions. Let's just look at Murder at Earnshaw Manor.
Okay, detectives. Here is a murder mystery that will really put your sleuthing skills to the test.
All right, here goes.
The owner of Earnshaw Manor, Sir Henry Earnshaw, was found murdered in his home at 12 midday on Sunday the 29th of July. His wife discovered the body and called the police immediately. Crime scene investigators estimated that the victim had been dead for less than an hour at the time he was found. The police questioned his wife and staff at the manor and were given the following alibis. The wife said she was watching TV in the lounge room. The cook said that she was preparing lunch in the kitchen. The gardener said that he was tending to the rose garden. The maid said that she went to collect the Daily Mail from the letterbox. The nanny said that she was with the baby in the nursery. Working as a team, determine who committed the crime. An important clue is inscribed in invisible ink at the bottom of this page. Unscramble the letters and use this to help solve the mystery. Good luck.
Looks like we'll need our invisible ink readers for this one.
Junior Detective, once you have unscrambled the clue, type in your response.
Okay, we're going to unscramble that clue. Now, I happen to know that it's Sunday. You get a hint if you don't know. Woohoo.
Great work. Now let's solve the rest of the riddle. I say we go through each suspect's alibi one at a time.
No, we don't need to waste our time with that. Give it to me. I'll solve it.
What?
Choose the phrase that best describes how Cade is feeling at the moment and move it onto his heart. Grateful for your character's help. Distrusting of your character's motives. Frustrated at your character for interrupting and taking over. Or jealous of your character's intelligence and leadership skills.
I might show you what happens if you get this wrong. Let's say we think he's grateful.
Try again.
Okay, maybe he was distrusting.
Cade feels frustrated. He frowned and spoke in a raised voice when your character interrupted and grabbed the mission from him. People often feel frustrated when others interrupt them or don't listen to what they are saying.
I've got it. The murderer is the maid. There is no Daily Mail on a Sunday. The maid was lying when she said that she was at the letterbox collecting mail. I've solved the mystery.
Click on the thought bubble that best describes what the other detectives are thinking right now and move it onto their heads. I hate working with him. We didn't even get a chance to solve the puzzle because he just took over. He's so smart. I wish I could solve mysteries that quickly. We make such a great team. The case is solved. I'm bored with these training missions. When will we get to do something more adventurous?
Okay, so here the kids look at, all right, what's the body language going on? What are the facial expressions? What was happening around this? And work out the social impact of what happened there. So if we look at all those, it's this one here. We didn't even get a chance. He just took over.
Congratulations, Junior Detective. You solved the mystery of Earnshaw Manor. Detectives, you may now take a break.
Hey guys, would it be okay if I played with you at break time?
Why would we want to play with you? You'll take over and boss us around, just like you do in class. Yeah.
What should your character do now? Apologize or stand up for himself?
Okay, now we get to choose our own adventure here. Are we going to apologise or stand up for ourselves? I think we're going to demonstrate how to apologise today. So this is actually showing them how to use their damage control code. When they've accidentally found themselves in this situation, how do they try and fix it?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take over. I was just trying to help. What can I do to make it up to you guys?
Well, it would be nice if you gave us all a chance to talk when we're doing class activities and if you listen to our ideas. If you're going to play with us, you need to take turns and follow our rules, okay?
Okay. Well, I'll try my best.
I guess you can play with us then. We're going to play the Android adventure game on our handheld PCs. Who would you like to play first?
Huh? Choose the emotion that best describes how your character is feeling right now and move it onto his heart. Excited, confused, distrusting, or nervous.
Okay, he's feeling confused. He hasn't no idea what this game is.
Sorry, I haven't played that game before. Could you please explain it to me?
Yeah, all right. No problem. The aim of the game is to be the first android to cross the finish line. You need to find and collect the hovercraft before crossing the lake, the rotating claw legs before crossing the rocky mountain, and the jet shoes before crossing the chasm.
It all sounds a bit complicated, but I guess I'll give it a go.
You'll be right. I'd like to play against you first, if that's okay with everyone else.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good to me.
Use the up arrow to jump and the
Give me
down.
instructions. Right, I'm literally playing this. Oh. I'm the white one. Oh, I won anyway. Excellent.
Oh, that was just a practice. It doesn't count. The next game's for real.
What?
You heard what I said.
Okay, I need to stay calm. If I want these kids to be my friends, I need to play by their rules. Winning the friendship game is what's most important. Sure, Monique. Let's play our first real game.
Okay.
Use the
I
up
won't,
arrow to jump and
play
the
that
down.
again.
Welcome to level 3. Please start with
All right, so that was almost all the way through Murder at Earnshaw Manor. As I was saying, it demonstrates play code, damage control code, you saw him apologising, also the confusion code. He was presented with this new, strange, complicated game, and he tried to stay calm and roll with it and ask how to play. There's another one that shows the conversation code that might be helpful for Charlie to help him see what modelling what a conversation that goes back and forth looks like through the pathway of another activity. Okay, now I might jump through so that I definitely have time for questions. There's various things we could do with Charlie here to help him, including we could make his own custom social skills code for a family Zoom party, because remember, the family want to provide him with means of socialising while he's in isolation. So there's a section in that intelligence pack where you can make your own step-by-step social skill around what do we need to do when we're getting ready for our family Zoom party. And we might send him off on some missions as well. This is just a visual to show you an example of the play code itself. The play code, this is a picture of the poster in the SAS poster set. First 4 steps are how to ask to play. Then we have a series of things of if they say yes, try to do these things. If they say no, these are some things that you can do instead. You'll notice the if you say yes includes try not to be on rule patrol, trying to take turns, watch out for clues around how they're feeling while you're playing, all of those kind of tips. The poster just summarises the steps. When you're doing the small group program, their cadet handbooks actually have pages and pages of all the detail and instructions on how to do all these things with other kids. The other picture here shows you an example of a digital version of their social skills codes. This is from the digital intelligence pack I showed you. I showed you relaxation gadgets in the demonstration. There's another section that has all their social skills code steps. This one's the conversation code, covers a whole heap of different skills around conversations. Now, to make sure that we have time for questions, just to recap, we have the standalone resources, which is that computer game pack that we looked at today, plus there's a board game and the poster set. Then there's the small group program, which is that evidence-based manualised structured program that has the 2-day facilitator training course. When you go on our website and you look up a find a provider, SAS provider, you can put in your address and it shows you who's nearby. The people who are listed are all people that have done that training course. They're trained SAS facilitators to deliver the small group program. There are others that are not listed. The ones listed are just the ones who want to be publicly found. Okay, And if anyone's interested in mainstream classroom options, contact us and we can go through that. But that's how you access SAS. So I'm assuming, Anna, that you're going to help me out in terms of questions.
I am. Thank you so much. The espionage vibe is so my vibe. And I really feel like I've just been a part of something. Yvonne messaged me halfway through saying, I've got goosebumps. I've been asked to be in a secret agent society. And that is definitely how I feel. Particularly, I love the bit around dragging things onto someone's heart around feelings. I just love that. So I've put into the chat, if anyone's got any questions, please shoot them through now. You can send them directly to the panelists or you can put it to everyone and we can start answering those. Whilst we're waiting for people to send through questions, I had one about the age range.
Yep.
So can you talk me through the age range and how it sort of is structured for the younger? So it's 8 to 13-year-olds typically, is it?
Yeah, so it was designed for 8 to 12 with Asperger's.
Yeah.
We will have on all our materials that it's evidence-based for 8 to 12. So the research studies, that's where the bulk of the research sits. The studies themselves, I think, range from 7 to 14, but to be able to call it evidence-based, it's 8 to 12. But clinically, out there in the real world, people use it outside of that range. And I'll give you an example from my own experience. So I've used the standalone computer game pack where I've used bits, like what I told you about today, I used bits and pieces suitable to what I'm working on with a 16-year-old who had intellectual disability. A significant intellectual disability. His skills were where the program was at, they aligned, and he still thought the theme was cool. So with the older ones, sometimes it's around, do they think it's too babyish, or is it at their theme level? And really it's about, do the skills we're teaching fit with what they need for the older ones? I've run the small group program. I think 14 has been the oldest in my groups, but you learn about an intake process and how to work out who's suitable or not and who to put together in your group. Younger kids, I've also used bits and pieces with a 6-year-old who was very high intelligence and high literacy. Otherwise, I wouldn't even think of a 6 or 7-year-old. Okay, it's the types of skills that it covers. So with this, there's cognitive behaviour therapy in there, where they've got to identify and look at different thoughts. There's that decode a problem solving formula. The concepts are actually too high developmentally for the littlies. So I would only think about it as a guide, and you still got to look at it individually. Let's say high-level 7-year-olds through to until they stop thinking it's cool. There we go.
Wonderful. So there's a few questions coming through. I think you touched on that just then, but one question saying, would this suit a child with an intellectual disability who has trouble reading? He's 11. Okay,
great question. That's very specific. So I'll talk to the research first. The research has included kids with mild intellectual disability and some kids with moderate. It's certainly not a program for kids with severe intellectual disability, unless perhaps they're quite a bit older, but you've got to use your skill to judge the appropriateness there. But mild, yep, literacy, great question. It will be the biggest barrier. And it's not to say that there's a certain cutoff, they have this level of literacy, you can't do it. It's more about your skills to adapt, the support resources that you have. And once you get in and see a bit more, you'll get a feel for what it requires in a literacy component. So you might be able to use the standalone resources more flexibly with a child with very high literacy needs versus a small group program. It might be tricky if they've got really, really poor literacy.
Just on that, is there any, with the current situation and people being at home more, are you seeing any sort of support with siblings playing the game together?
Yeah. So a lot of people are doing things like getting the whole family in on role plays that they might have done in the room. Often families want to have 2 lots of the computer game so that both siblings can do it. When we do the training course for the small group program, when we're talking about the reward system, often we're brainstorming. People are thinking about families with multiple kids and how can I have this special reward system happening for this child, not this one, and how can we give them both one? You know, they both could have this secret agent reward system, but one's for practicing social skills and one's for stacking the dishwasher, you know? So yeah, siblings get involved.
Wow. I'll merge these two in together. So someone has asked whether all training is online and if there's upcoming training that you're holding. And someone else has asked if they need to pay to use the online version, and do they need training in that? So I'll just put that all together too.
Great. Yep, good combo. All right, I'll reverse them around. So thinking about the triangle that I showed everyone, the top one where you use the resources flexibly, you integrate it into the work you're already doing. There's no training required. We do have a workshop. It's called the Empowering Children workshop on the website at the moment. It's a one-day workshop, or there's a mini 4-hour version where you can get familiarity. You can get a practice, particularly if you're a telehealth service and you're wanting some extra practice using the SAS resources through telehealth. The full day one, you'll get to practice a whole heap of things, but it's not required. Anyone can purchase that computer game pack. Professionals, schools, families, and families can choose to use it with the support of a professional or not. So that answers one bit. You purchase your license for 12 months of computer game access. Usually you're getting one for child. So the family might get it for their child, or you might purchase it as part of your therapy package, and they will register their player, and you've got to do the child's consent through the adults and all that kind of thing. So it's usually one per child, but you can have one, like I can have one as a psychologist that I use and share screen during telehealth for different children to demonstrate certain things, but they just won't have their own login. They won't be able to unlock it as they go. They won't be able to capture their mission journal responses, those kind of things. There's different ways you can use it, one per child or one per professional. With the next part on the triangle, the small group program, yes, you have to do the training course. It's a 2-day training course. Our website training page has the current dates. The ones that are running currently are all online. We've been running both face-to-face training and online training face-to-face training for 10 years, but the online interactive training for about 2 years, even before the pandemic hit. So we just transitioned all the existing face-to-face courses to our online interactive method. It is interactive. You actually break off into small groups. You're constantly interacting. It's not silent webinar talking at you. Yeah. I think I answered all of the questions.
Absolutely. Just got time for a couple more. There's a couple of questions around under sevens. Wondering if there's any plans for the future to move into that space, or any sort of aspects of it that can be used for under sevens.
Great. There's certainly aspects of it. If you're using the standalone resources and you're choosing which bits suit that child, you can use bits and pieces and you keep it to the things that are suited to their level. Yes, you can do that. Are there plans to go down in age? No. The plans with SAS are going to go up in age. Okay, so the reason SAS was targeting 8 to 12 in the first place is there was already a lot of resources out there for the young ones, and it was like we all needed something that was a little bit beyond stick figures on butcher's paper to engage that slightly older child. So it's more likely to move into teen and then adult rather than to go down lower.
Thank you. And just to clarify, the NDIS, how can people use their NDIS package to fund their computer game?
Yeah, there's a few different ways that NDIS is used for SAS. We actually have a, what's it called? I think it's a planners and managers guide, coordinators guide, that outlines SAS and maps it onto NDIS. So if anyone wants that, if there's any NDIS coordinators out there or plan managers, email in and we'll send that out to you. When you're a trained SAS provider, we have an NDIS page that has templates for doing your service agreement and your review report and all that stuff for NDIS reporting. We also have a line items document. So anyone who's emailing into us for that NDIS guide, there's also a line items document that helps you to work out which bits relate to which components of the whole small group program. So different ways, all depends on how your package is working.
Amazing. You really have thought of everything, haven't you?
Try to.
Just lastly, is there somewhere where people can find the providers of SAS in their area? And
yeah. So I might just share
and pop the link of the where people can find the training, if that's okay. Yeah.
I'll see what I had on that slide. So this one here.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, it doesn't have the website on it. That's silly of me. So how about I just quickly type it on? That'll make it easier for people.
Amazing. Thank you.
I'll just put it in the title. Okay, so if you go to our website, there is, if I spell it correctly, that is, there's a page that is all about training. So at the top there, SST, when it comes on, sstinstitute.net. There is a page in the menu bar that is all about training. It will have the dates and it'll have the application forms for the training courses. We also go to organisations. So a few times a year, we have larger organisations or networks of providers who host their own training, and we put it on just for your team kind of thing. So that's available as well. So if you go there and go to the training page, you'll do this. And then there's also on our homepage and under the families menu, something called Find an SAS Provider. This is the other question that was asked. And you can put in your suburb and state, and it'll tell you who's nearby. It's like Find Your Local Bunnings. It'll give you the list and it'll give you the map, and you can zoom in and find the people and link to their websites.
Amazing. Well, we are nearing the end of our hour. Thank you so much, Kathleen, for taking us to another realm. I just want this game for myself. It was just so fun. And I'm pulling out that gratitude and placing it on my heart for you for generously giving your time to ECIA and to all of the attendees today to introduce us and give us a little mini experience of such a phenomenal program. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anna, and ECIA. It's been my pleasure.
Woo! And and thank you so much for everyone across Australia and New Zealand and wherever else in this land for joining us. It's been so much fun. I'm pumped. I want this game.
You'll all be running around with walkie-talkies this afternoon.
Yeah, and I'm going to have another a map of all the things I need on my numbers, including a fire engine at the moment.
And we should send you, Anna, a graduation medal for graduating.
Oh my gosh, yes. And for those of you who don't know, we have another webinar tomorrow on play. And then on Friday for International Day of Families, we have an amazing critical conversation around ensuring that family-centred practice is reflected in family-centred policy and human rights. So please join us for that also. Thank you, everybody.